Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria 3, where we have had an incredibly awkward string of rolls on enacting laissez-faire. We will see if that ends up doing anything, but this is looking a little bit bad at this point. We hit a lot of stalls in a row on a very low chance of that happening, but alas, that happens sometimes. So we're going to have to stop our construction relatively soon. We are working on these last two power plants here, and I'd like to get those finished, for sure. So for now, we'll just let that happen. We've got an election coming up here, and we'll see if we're able to get laissez-faire through after this election. The election may or may not change the outcome of this. But we've had bad rolls on this. It is what it is. So I certainly want to get these two power plants finished up here so that we can finish our electrification. That would definitely be ideal here. So I think we might end up going slightly into debt in order to get these two power plants completed. That would probably end up being for the best. So let's let that finish up. And how are we doing at this point on our literacy? Okay, noted. What would our interest rate be? Yikes. Okay, 26.3 is insane. So we don't want to have that if we can at all help it. We've got 3 weeks on our power plant in Persian Hazaristan and then 10 weeks on our northern Baluchistan power plant. So we're going to be going into debt here fairly soon, but it shouldn't be that deep into debt. But it's going to be painful. But I do want to get these two power plants finished up so that we can fully electrify. That will be for the best. Now we're going to probably still have some electricity shortages. We've got one out over here. This is probably just due to hiring practices. Yeah, so we're not able to hire due to decreased productivity. So that means that this should be subsidized. And this one is probably in the same boat. Yeah. So this should also be subsidized for right now. We'll subsidize those electricity quotas, and that'll be okay. So we are currently in debt by a little bit, and that's understood. We've got about 5 weeks until we finish up our power plant in northern Baluchistan. So let's let that finish up, and then we can get fully electrified. That will be a big deal. We'll see what ends up happening with laissez-faire, but hitting 4 stalls in a row on a 25% chance is incredibly unlucky. Incredibly unlucky. So we will see what happens with that. 2 weeks left on our power plant in northern Baluchistan. And who is this guy? Trade union, huh? Okay. Well, eventually he might be useful, but not right now. Okay, what's this? So the ulema are preaching in favor of the moderate socialist party, which makes sense. That's what they're part of. But Allah surely wants the agrarian party to win. There we go. We'll just make sure that some of the momentum moves over. I don't really want the moderate socialist party to win too much. Although the fact that they're referring to themselves as moderate socialists is interesting. I wonder what laws they're going to back. They're going to win, and that's definitely going to be fascinating. I don't think they're going to back laissez-faire. But it's mostly the rural folk who are opposing this, to be sure. So this may or may not be a bad thing for us. We'll see. Interestingly, the industrialists aren't part of any of these parties. So there's that. So we're currently at 76k in debt. Let's finish up this iron mine and then pause the construction. So that's going to be like this. And then one more week tick. And then we're going to start working on this debt because our interest is a lot. We don't want to let that build up. We've only got currently 491 in interest, so that looks good. Okay, so we have a new president, and this is currently paused because I don't think we can actually do this, or is this... Oh, it's because we have an illegitimate government. Okay, so we need to reform our government, and the best we can do is the landowners and the ulema, and this is indeed what we're going to go for. What does that do to the status of laissez-faire? 0% chance. Okay, so this just isn't going to happen. It's very, very sad. But we lost our window. We rolled badly. That's all there is to it. So what can we change? Well, with these guys, it's not a lot. We can't go for any of these right now, unfortunately. Okay, well, I think we're going to have to go the route of getting an agitator. So let's get rid of this guy. We don't need him anymore, so we're going to exile this guy. Perfect. And now we're going to bring in... Only show available, please. We're going to bring in somebody who will ideally... So this peasant movement. Do they go for agrarianism? No, they don't. Okay, so peasant movement isn't useful to us. Liberal movement is currently not terribly useful, although we could go for, like, universal suffrage and census suffrage. It's a theoretical possibility. Abolitionist movement, though. That's interesting. Modernization movement, what would they do? He is a reformer and is interested in citizenship, rights of women, and children's rights. So that's not necessarily ideal. Okay, so I'm thinking this abolitionist movement is probably the way to go. But before we do that, I want to check in over here. So if we were to ban slavery, 22% would be unhappy. This would radicalize the landowners. So the landowners being unhappy with that would be problematic, right? I wouldn't mind, actually. Maybe we should go for a different voting type instead. So we're on landed right now, but if we went to census suffrage, we could have a better election in the next go. This will also radicalize the landowners, though. So I'm thinking maybe we do go for the abolitionist. So that would be this guy. So we'll invite him right on in. And he should start an abolitionist political movement here. Waiting for him to do it. He hasn't done it yet. Okay, maybe it's going to take him a bit. We do still have this liberal movement, and the liberal movement is, of course, wanting these things. But unfortunately, that doesn't mean that we can actually do them, right? We can't go towards census suffrage at this point because there's not a above 0% success chance. Nobody really wants it. It's the intelligentsia and the trade unions, and they're not very impactful right now. So, kind of an awkward election for us, but ultimately, that comes down to we just rolled really poorly on laissez-faire. Really, really, really poorly. Not much we can do about it. Why has this guy not started his anti-slavery movement yet? Oh, he's supporting the liberal movement. Hang on. He was supposed to start an abolitionist movement. We can't exile him. Did I get the wrong guy? Maybe I did. But he joined the liberal movement. So that's not really ideal. We can't exile him for 4 years. So I guess we're just stuck with this for a while. And to be honest, this is probably what we're going to have for quite a long time. So other potentially theoretically viable governments would include this or this. If we were to bring in the armed forces or the rural folk. That's interesting. I'm going to do this. That's going to drop our acceptability way, way down. But we can at least go to agrarianism. No one opposes this. Okay. So that will be good. That'll at least take us off of traditionalism. It's not as good as it could have been if we didn't roll very, very badly. But no one opposes it. Let's just go to agrarianism. So that'll be fine. 0% of stall, 40% chance of advance, 39% chance of debate, 20%. Unless we roll incredibly badly, this is going to be fine. This is a rebellion that our vassal is having. Okay, that's exciting. And The Pashtun National Movement is currently thinking about seceding. Okay, so that is fine. They can do that, actually. So this is just going to happen. Britain will help us with that, so that's fine. So that's going to be these two states out over here. That's honestly probably for the best. So we'll let that happen. We will definitely take them down. We should crank up our training rate at this point, since we know that that's going to happen, and get this manpower replenishing out over here, particularly in this army. And we don't have a research right now, so we just got conveyors. Okay? And from here we could go for like... Pneumatic tools? Pneumatic tools. That'll be fine. Okay, so we currently have 7 legitimacy. Why do we have only 7 legitimacy right now? Hang on. What's going on here? Ideological incompatibility. This is not what we were told that we would have. So this is currently stalled. We could cut taxes to deal with that. How much would that cost us? We'd be net negative, but we could do it. This is at 0 and 0. Well, so much for that. That was definitely not what we were told we were going to be at. The tooltips did not indicate that we were going to be at 7 legitimacy here. That's interesting. So I guess we need to do this instead. That's unfortunate. So if we did that, what would we be able to go to? Well, we could work on something like this out over here. Actually, we have a chance at census suffrage. Let's give it a go. If we can pass that, that would be fantastic. It's not a great chance, but sure. We are just having the most awkward time getting reforms passed with this country. But it's okay. So we know that this secession is going to be a thing. That's not a problem. I'm deeply unconcerned about that. We are going to want to continue to construct over here in these areas. Covert agitation. We can drop that down. That's fine. And I want to be constructing here fairly soon. We're at about 500k, so we can build for a while here. Let's get some of that construction going, and then we'll have to handle this secession, right? That's obviously going to be fine. It's not a concern. Vulnerable front somewhere. Okay. Oh, that's this front here? Right. I'm thinking we mobilize these guys and send them over to this vulnerable front. Something like this. There we go. So they've arrived here, and they are on rapid advance, which sounds good. And this war has broken out, so we're going to very easily win this. No problem. Excellent. And this secession movement, this is going to happen. This was always going to happen. I don't think there's any long-term way of solving that. Well, there is, but I don't think we're going to bother with preventing that. So the question is, how do we roll on census suffrage? This is a similar level of chance as our laissez-faire was. So we will see. We'll let this procession go ahead. I don't really care either way if this secession happens earlier or later. It's fine either way. It's going to happen, so it could happen earlier. We don't really care if it does. Earlier is maybe even better. That way we can just get it over with. So census suffrage is, of course, going to take a while, but we'll see how that ends up going. The French are pieced out. That is great. So that should deal with some of this market access at any rate. Maybe. Maybe not in that particular case. Maybe Britain is in other wars that we're getting blockaded from. Who knows? Doesn't really matter either way. So that is fine. We are currently spending our money nicely and working on these iron mines in Khorasan. We have about 7 years of construction time. The landowners are attempting to do a coup to establish autocracy. We're going to resist it. Okay, the coup is currently expected to gain progress. So this is because the landowners are very upset. Yeah, it's because of census suffrage. That's why they're doing this. So this is expected to gain progress at the rate of what? And that's not going to start a civil war either. They're just going to do it. Okay, so that's very awkward. The landowners are very salty right now. They're minus 15 angry, and that will decay eventually. We need to work down their power, and we've been working on that. Okay, a general accused of plot? We cannot take chances with the loyalties of our generals. So they're probably going to do this coup, right? So they are definitely gaining progress here. And that might force us to stop census suffrage, which is really not ideal. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see how we roll on census suffrage. Maybe we roll exceptionally well, and we get there before the coup happens. That would be ideal. No doubt about that. But these political problems are not surprising, considering the sheer amount of political inertia we're dealing with, and the amount of radicalism we built up doing this. So that's understood. This is not surprising in the slightest. So we're going to continue to construct here for a little bit. We've got an electricity shortage in Kerman. This needs to be subsidized, is the problem. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Well, if this goes up, that's probably for the best. I wonder what this rebelling will do for the coup. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting indeed. So the gold reserves are going down here, of course, and that's understood. But let's see what happens with census suffrage here. We've got about 10 days, and we're just in sponsorship at this point. We have really struggled to get law changes going on. We've rolled exceptionally badly. We've had awkward things like this coup and this secession happening over it. We fought a civil war over it, and we've still made very little progress. So this is a stall instantly. Okay. I'm going to cancel this. So that should end the coup. What is the landowner opinion at? Happy +5. Okay. So that should end the coup, and we could start working off of, like, hereditary bureaucrats and try to go to elected bureaucrats. Now, I want to make sure the coup is completely gone. So we need to let this lose progress. Okay. That's understood. So this is definitely losing progress at this point. We need this coup to go away because we need the landowner opinion to be above 0. So we can work on elected bureaucrats, which would take landowner power, or, well, aristocrat power away. And that would be great. But this is going to take the landowners from 5 to 0 right now. Okay. Landowner opinion is currently happy +5. So I think if we were to start working on hereditary bureaucrats to elected bureaucrats, I think that the coup is still expected to lose progress now. Yes, that is good. Okay, so on the policy of the government, huh? The liberal movement is probably fine here. Having them gain is not a bad thing. We can't really bolster them for now, but that's okay. We need to stop our construction. We are definitely starting to go negative here. And secessionist bomb building, huh? Yeah, this is expected. Okay, both of those dropped the secession down, but actually, their militantism, or rather their activism here, is only 76. So the Pashtun National Movement, right? That is not in the list of political movements. That's exciting. Okay, so here's the Pashtun National Movement. They are wanting us to be on... They are pluralist. They want us to endorse cultural exclusion. Okay. The coup's plot can advance a bit, I guess. This doesn't matter. It's expected to lose progress. So that's fine. As far as a bad thing goes, that's not a bad thing at all. So here we have pretty decent chance. Only an 8% stall rate and 50% on debate. So let's see if we can actually pass elected bureaucrats. That'd be great if we could. Unfortunately, we were forced to back off of our getting rid of traditionalism. We'll get it eventually. We will eventually get rid of it. Okay. So elected bureaucrats is going to be a thing. That will reduce the power of aristocrats, which is very good for us. Very, very. So we'll get that done, and hopefully that'll mean that the landowners will become less powerful. Well, I mean, it will. It'll mean that the landowners definitely become less powerful. We've paid off what debt we built up and are working on more. We hit debate here. Okay. 10% enactment success chance. Done. We will spare no expense. We can give up the bureaucracy. That does not matter. So that looks great. We're now up to a 26% success chance. That mostly came out of the debate, but that's understood. So the secession here, it's slowly working its way up. We'll see if they actually do anything. For the time being, let's resume our construction for a little bit. And let's see if we can get these iron mines done anyway. So that would be wonderful. We've got quite a lot more to build here, no doubt about that. And our economy is fluctuating around a lot because it's very closely tied to the British economy. You can see our market access is low right now. That's understood. We'll reprimand the general and reject the plan. Sounds good. So this coup is going to go away soon. They're at 8% right now, and they're losing, I think it's 2% per month or 1% per month. Maybe it's 1% per week. Something along those lines. So that's looking good. And we have managed to work a bit on these iron mines over in Khorasan. We'll get the rest of them finished up eventually. Mostly our GDP is down due to our market access at this point, which we can't really do too much about this market access. It basically is what it is. This is not an infrastructure issue. This is just we can't get to the British market because they're doing shenanigans. What shenanigans are they doing? Yeah, here we go. German Empire versus Sweden and the diplomatic play in Persia here. So yeah, that's all fully expected. Well, it's mostly the Germany and Sweden thing. We progressed up to study on elected bureaucrats, so that is good. We're very happy about that. And eventually these guys are probably going to actually secede. And we'll just crush them. That's not an issue. So that looks good. Khorasan is up to 11.3 construction efficiency reduction. Very rude. Okay, the coup attempt has fizzled out. And that's going to lose the landowners some interest group political strength, and that's great. Alternatively, we could gain decaying approval from basically everyone else. And that's what we're going to do. Democracy is saved. Fantastic. So, I mean, that's great and all, but we need to pass elected bureaucrats at this point. We've got a lot more things that we can work on passing eventually. We've got a long ways to go on our laws. We've made some changes, but these are still terrible. Traditionalism, land-based taxation, mercantilism isn't great either, but we need to definitely get off of these at some point. But we'll see if we're allowed to. That's not really fully in our control in Victoria, so that is fine. At this point, gold reserves are dwindling, and we should probably pause construction here, which we will do. We'll allow our gold reserves to build right on back up. There we go. So that brought us to 11.7k, and we're just going to work on that. Beautiful. So now we need to get this completed. Let's see what happens in 7 days here. 4, 3, 2, 1, and advance. Okay, not bad. Not bad. So let's take 10% enactment success chance. Beautiful. This is looking good. We're getting good momentum built on elected bureaucrats. It is time to put a cut in here, though, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we will see if this national movement ends up being a thing or not. It probably will. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Andy McGar, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.